KOB Eyewitness News 4 at noon.
We are following major developments this afternoon. 2 Albuquerque police officers who shot and killed homeless man James Boyd in the foothills will face murder charges. District Attorney Carrie Brandenburg announced that Dominic Perez and Keith Sandy will each face a single count of open murder. In March of last year, police said Boyd refused to come down from a makeshift campsite in the foothills. According to APD, Boyd was armed with knives and refused to drop them. We showed you that helmet camera video where Boyd appeared to surrender and Perez and Sandy there opened fire. The audio recording showed Sandy saying that he had planned to shoot Boyd in the groin hours before that shooting happened. We have team coverage of today's developments. Stuart Dyson will track the district attorney's actions. Stephanie Claytor is covering the defense team for the 2 police officers. We start with Stuart. And what is the DA planning, Stu?
Well, Kim, right now it is an open charge of murder for officers Keith Sandy and Dom Perez. And the DA is taking an approach in this case that is uncommon in Bernalillo County, but frequently used in other parts of the state. District Attorney Carrie Brandenburg will seek murder charges in a preliminary hearing instead of going to a grand jury. That means the evidence will be presented to a judge in open court. Witnesses will testify. The judge will decide if it's sufficient for the cops to stand trial. So the hearing will not determine whether they are guilty or not guilty. It will focus on whether there's enough evidence to convince a reasonable jury that they might have committed the crime. Then, if that's the case, the judge will set a trial date. Sandy and Perez are each charged with a single count of open murder. So that ranges from first-degree murder to second-degree to manslaughter. Back to you, Kim.
Stuart, thank you. We head over now to Stephanie Claytor, who has more on what one of the defense attorneys has to say about all this. Stephanie, there is a news conference scheduled for this afternoon.
That's right, Kim. So far, we've heard from Sam Bregman, and he is defending Keith Sandy. He's holding a news conference at 1:30 at his office, and I will be there. In a statement sent to us, Bregman says charging Keith Sandy with murder is unjustified and a bad decision on the part of the DA's office. He added, Keith, as a police officer, had not only the right but the duty to defend a fellow officer from a mentally unstable, violent man wielding 2 knives. Keith did nothing wrong. To the contrary, he followed his training and probably saved his fellow officer's life. He concludes his statement by calling Boyd's death a tragedy, but says Boyd's death is not the result of any criminal act by Sandy. Along with Sandy, Dominique Perez is also charged with a single count of open murder in relation to the death of James Boyd. Now, I will be covering this story all day, and I'll have more updates for you at 5, 6, and 10. Live in the newsroom, Stephanie Claytor, KOB Eyewitness News 4.
Stephanie, thank you. And as we have reported, outrage over the James Boyd shooting led to protests and demonstration in downtown Albuquerque and also at several city council meetings shortly after the Department of Justice released its findings of its investigation into APD, where they said the department engaged in a pattern of excessive force. APD has had more than 40 officer-involved shootings since 2010. 27 of those were fatal. The case against Perez and Sandy marks the first time an APD officer has been charged with murder in connection to a fatal officer-involved shooting. Again, Keith Sandy's attorney, Sam Bregman, will be holding a press conference at 1:30 this afternoon. Also, Bernalillo County District Attorney Carrie Brandenburg will be holding a press conference at 2 o'clock. We will be covering both of them for you online and on air all day right here on KOB.